Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Mouse Morrow and Drewbie here in the Xel'naga Caverns. Drewbie spawning as the red Terran player on the north side of the map, as the red Terran or crimson Terran. Meanwhile, we have Mouse Morrow spawning on the south side of the map as the blue Zerg. So this will be Zerg versus Terran here inside the Xel'naga Caverns, and hopefully this game doesn't go too long, as I am expecting someone to come by to pick something up and trying to get one last shoutcast in. There may be a pause later in the game. I apologize already for that if it does come down to it. So, coming into the game, we now see Mouse Morrow as the blue Zerg player, pretty much doing a standard opening, getting a 9 Overlord, will not be using that extractor trick, and will be able to get up to 12 or almost 13 over 18 food in just a moment, right as that Overlord does hatch. Meanwhile, back over here, we do see a Drewbie now setting up a supply depot over here on the front door, making sure that it does not get blocked in, or making sure to block himself in, allowing no Zerglings to be able to run up that ramp and then hit this mineral line here, as that is very, very dangerous for a Terran player once you get Zerglings inside your base. Mouse Morrow now moving out with an early drone in order to most likely do some scouting. I cannot expect him to just wait over here. Yeah, gonna go ahead and do some early scouting instead. And now we'll be able to come in and see a standard barracks and a supply depot. We should be seeing a refinery in just a moment. If there is not a refinery, he could be going for a double racks build, and that does seem to be the case. He may open with a double racks, yes, here in the Xel'naga Caverns, and that is going to be a lot of marine harassment. We'll see what exactly Mouse Morrow does to handle this harassment of these marines, as he already has a hatchery down, and I expect some early action here in the Xel'naga Caverns, as that double marine push against this hatchery will call for a lot more Zerglings and perhaps even some spine crawlers. So that one SCV now making its way out, perhaps we'll be able to come down here and deal some damage as well by setting up a bunker or two, as now a marine is now being trained. So what happened? Oh, he canceled that barracks. Very interesting that he canceled his barracks. What? I don't exactly see what that was for. He did cancel his barracks now, and now is making its way down with this one SCV down into this location here. He does not have the gas, so I'm kind of curious as to what exactly Drewbie is going to be going for. That we do see drones now patrolling here as a bunker now being laid down here. One drone will be able to get some damage onto that SCV. The SCV trying to build that bunker will not be able to, as a marine will finally get here in a nick of time, as there are now some drones coming off the mineral line in order to fight back against these marines. Marines do move slower than drones, so those drones are actually a strong enough counter against that one marine during mass harassment. And now Morrow may think that he has a very, very strong economic lead because he has a hatchery down and he was able to fend off what he thinks was a 2 racks rush, but instead it is going to be a command center being placed down here. So both sides going for very, very early expansions. We do see marines now over here as more marines are still being trained, and now Drewbie going into double refinery. Taking a look at Drewbie is not nearly saturated on his mineral line. He can still add 1 to 2 SCVs and still get decent usage out of them without diminishing returns. And now in comes a Zergling, and the Zergling now going to see this command center has to be curious as to what exactly happened, how he has that many minerals. That one SCV trying to build, and trying to come back around this side, and now we'll be able to come back up here and up that ramp. There are some marines down over here. The marines need to jump inside that bunker and are able to, as some of those Zerglings were able to catch those marines out of position. So Drewbie now transitioning into a very, very interesting game, as he does have a command center of his own, may upgrade that to an orbital command, transfer some SCVs over as well, and he needs to get up a factory. Tech-wise, he is not that far behind. And now taking a look at Morrow. Morrow does not have any gas currently mined out. We do see that one Overlord was shot down a little bit earlier as he was supply locked, so that's what those marines were doing, making sure to try to take down one of those units. And now we have 2 marines here, a couple SCVs, and now a bunker here just waiting to shoot down even more units. So perhaps another bunker should be placed down here, doubly protect this expansion as an orbital command. Now calling down additional mules. Don't know why you would try to mine out your main base first. You should probably try to start mining off of these mineral patches, as Yeah, as you do not want to run out of minerals at any time before you have your next expansion up. Zerglings now trying to take down these destructible rocks over here. It will be quite some time, obviously, as destructible rocks have a natural 3 armor, and now, interestingly enough, going for a reactor. So this may be a factory swap in just a moment in order to get Infernal Pre-Igniter as well. And that will be a lot of Hellions. The Infernal Pre-Igniter research does take quite some time to research. I believe 140 game seconds to research. Yeah, no, 110 game seconds to research. So based off of that, we should see about 7 to 8 Hellions. So 7 to 8 Hellions moving out, and even more Hellions as it is also being trained out of this factory as well. So you can see the sheer amount of minerals at this stage in the game. Drewbie sitting on a very strong economy at about 1,200 minerals, and he should be able to get even more minerals as he calls down more mules and stays in this game even further, having enough energy for a double call down, which should return him or throw him into the 1,400 to 1,500 mule range or mineral range in just a moment. Also training up more SCVs as well. Also going for even more refineries. The 1 bunker over here, and now some Hellions as well. So those Hellions want to stay hidden off from those Zerglings. He wants to make sure that those Zerglings is not able to come up this ramp and see this Hellion. All these Hellions currently being trained. The Infernal Pre-Igniter research is nearly completed. Only needs about another 40 game seconds or so. So these Hellions will be able to pop out just in time, and it will be 8 Hellions with some siege tanks. And now we're gonna probably do a little factory swap once again, and then go into mass siege tanks, as Hellion siege tank going to be very strong. However, we are going into tier 2, getting a Baneling's Nest and a Roach Warren. Those roaches are going to be a strong counter towards those Hellions now that they have a range of 3. Hellions now on the move. It will be able to deal a lot of damage, catching some of those Zerglings off guard already. And now, as soon as those Zerglings just try to run away, they're not going to realize how much damage those Hellions are going to be able to do, as they have the Infernal Pre-Igniter research already now coming in. Gonna come in here. All the drones have already been taken down, and now going after 1 drone, getting another drone. There is 1 queen over here, and now going to be able to hold up that position very, very nicely. So Morrow doing a great job holding this position, will be able to finish off a couple Zerglings, but not deal the amount of damage that he really wanted to at this stage in the game. There is another hatchery over here, so those Hellions will be able to scout this out. And because there is no creep, those roaches do not really stand a chance as they walk very, very slowly. Hellions now moving back around once again, back up onto that high ground, as these 3 Hellions may try to come in here, and there is no protection here, so these Hellions will be able to deal a lot of damage, splitting up these Hellions. So in come another group of Hellions, and now down go more drones. 2 drones already taken down, another group of drones taken down there, so just racking up those kills even further, trying to get more drone kills. There we go, as these Hellions perhaps will maybe able to run up that ramp. There are some drones now being transferred over here. Taking a look at the production tab, we are now getting the level 1 weapons upgrade, as all of these Hellions are now trying to return back to base. Siege tank, currently 3 siege tanks, more Thors now being trained in addition to that siege tech. So a very, very beautiful transition, as Drewbie now going into a more mech style of play. Perhaps another tech lab needs to be added there in order to start double training more and more. In order to start double training more and more Thors. We do see one of those Hellions now trying to back off once again. We do see a couple of these roaches, and now those roaches are going to have a very difficult time against those siege tanks, especially as those siege tanks have a range of 7, against a range of 4, and down goes another roach. So those roaches unable to activate those Xel'naga watchtowers any longer. Drewbie should be setting up a planetary fortress here, and then with a couple siege tanks in siege mode, this expansion will be very, very difficult to break. We do have Hellions over here, no SCVs though, and now 1 queen and also a spine crawler up here, and now roaches up on that high ground. Hellions straight running into this place over here. Need to get damage onto these Hellions or onto these drones instead of going after that queen, getting a lot of damage dealt, and now a lot of those drones were taken down. You can see the just ashes burning there as the Zerglings arriving to the party late, and now more larvae being trained for drones instead of army units. So we'll see if that drone harassment will be able to constantly keep Drewbie in this game, as now Mouse Morrow is running off of 3 bases, same thing as Drewbie, but Drewbie does in fact have this high yield mineral location with that stronger economy going, with 67 harvesters, and now Thors over here as well. So siege tanks, planetary fortress, no upgrade that I can see so far on the planetary fortress, no range, no armor upgrades, but I believe that the game is probably going to start tipping in the favor of Drewbie. Drewbie does have the stronger economy at this stage. He also has the stronger stronger economy and stronger army, so 2 for 2. And then now, oh, this one Marine may be able to get an easy kill there, taking down an Overseer, a very, very expensive unit to lose there. 150 minerals, 100 gas. When you combine the cost of the Overlord and that Overseer. Thor currently sitting at level 1 weapons upgrade, now going into level 2, which will be critical as well, as it will take about another 140 game seconds. The Spire means that we should have some Mutalists, but by the time the Mutalists take to the skies, they will most likely be on the wrong end of those Javelin missiles, as those Javelin missiles are going to be able to two-shot some Mutalists, barring any natural life regeneration. We now see Thors making their way over here in order to take down these destructible rocks. Siege tanks, Spire will be completed. We'll see how many Mutalists he will be able to train up in just a moment. And now he is sitting on about 700 gas, so should be able to train up 7 Mutalists in just a moment, as it is more gas intensive than mineral intensive for those units. And now Overlord now being forced to push back once again. We now see a hatchery down here on the low ground. The Spire is up, but interestingly enough, oh, we had to contaminate on that the weapons upgrade, so that was unable to currently, I believe, get any research off. Where is that engineering base? I do not see it. Never mind. As we now see these roaches now trying to move back, we do see a couple Thors and Marines trying to fight back and forth. Things go as those roaches are able to just start slicing or just spitting their way through this army. The sheer number of roaches dealing a lot of damage. There are some siege tanks back over here. Banelings coming in as well, but the siege tanks in the back were able to tip that army, tip that fight in the favor of Drewbie. Drewbie pushing out a little bit too far away from that planetary fortress. That planetary fortress does not have any range upgrades. Production-wise, we should see a lot more units now being trained once again, as those Thors are now getting the level 2 weapons upgrade, being able to deal 66 damage, 132 damage, sorry, I believe it's 132 damage per round of attack against those roaches before you account for armor. Banelings now running around, and now we are going to get a drop into the base. So Morrow going to do a roach Baneling drop straight into the base here. Some missile turrets, and now in come those overlords. Thor's trying to stop this, but I do not believe it's going to be able to stop all that much damage, as those Banelings simply come in and deal a lot of damage. There are a lot of roaches here. Siege tanks trying to fight back as well, but the reinforcements from the factory are able to protect, and now in come those Mutalists here, and there is just 2 Thors standing around not doing anything against all that tightly packed group of Mutalists there, as Drewbie not really paying attention. So we should see those Thors now trying to come in. Now those Thors able to finally move over, getting some attacks in there, and now those Mutalists quickly getting shot down by those Thors, as those Thors are able to, I believe, two-shot. Yes, able to two-shot and those groups of Mutalists, and now some SCVs being transferred over. But both sides taking some casualties there. Army-wise, you can see Drewbie back in this game at 5,200 compared to 2,425. And now a sensor tower critically placed right here will be able to do any scouting for any overlords that try to fly in and do another drop. Zerglings and Banelings here. We do see another sensor tower here. Sorry, that same sensor tower here, as a fight goes on here. Siege tanks, medevacs, Marines, both sides trying to fight. The Marines were pulling back away from those Banelings just long enough, and now in come those Banelings. The Banelings were not able to melt any of those Marines, and now the Thors are just going to be able to slowly push their way in, as another batch of Banelings need to be, I wanted to say another B word, but I don't know another B word for production. Anyway, siege tanks over here now going to start blasting away at some of those Zerglings, as they're currently in those cocoons. Marines now on their way over here. There are a couple of Banelings now hatching. That is a lot of Banelings. Yeah, just almost 3 command rows of Banelings, and now those units trying to run back off to the north. There are some siege tanks offering a lot of protection and some long distance firing. Those Banelings have to be very, very careful. However, we're going to have a Baneling bombing run in just a moment, as those overlords want to drop Banelings on top of those Marines. You're going to see the Marines just simply melt to that focus fire there. Now in come those Banelings. Banelings just taking down all those Marines, and now Banelings coming in over here as well, taking down many of those siege tanks. And Drewbie now losing much of his attack force, will be forced to try to retreat. He does have units in reserve though, as Marines and Marauders focus down over here, and there are a couple of those roaches here. Roaches may be able to take down that sensor tower. Down it goes, as more units are still in production. 7 roaches, 5 Mutalisks in addition to a Hive Tech now being researched. Marines now on the move. Once again, level 3 weapons upgrade coming in from that factory, from the armory for all those factory units. The Thors will be able to deal a large amount of damage, almost 78 damage per attack. But because of that armor, it will be much more difficult. And now we do see some queens now trying to come in, trying to reestablish this hatchery over here. But Drewbie just playing very beautifully, almost in the style of QXC, I would say, and being able to do multiple attacks and then splitting up those Hellions to do a lot of harassment. And this is ultimately just all building on top of each other as these Marines now try to move out. Oh, Mutalisk simply falling apart to those Javelin missile launchers. Once again, I do not see that many Banelings, and those siege tanks are going to be able to blast away at many of those roaches, doing a lot of damage. More Marines now fighting back, pushing back and forth. Marauders doing a great job slowing down some of those very fast-moving Zerglings as this hatchery will once again get taken down. We do see some siege tanks down over here, so just a small skeleton crew being used in order to put some pressure over here as those siege tanks are going to get picked off by those roaches. Roaches moving ever so quickly, and now Morrow trying to run off of 4 or 3 bases now as the main bases are nearly mined out. We do see a lot of SCVs, and now level 3 weapons upgrade. The hammer will drop from those Thors. Thors dealing a large amount of damage. What, that 78 that I was talking about earlier, 39 per attack. And now we have another command center over here, which should be lifted off and then be placed down here in just a moment as the units are currently trying to get regrouped. We do see a couple of Banelings hatching, but I think this is the beginning of the end. A 5,000 mineral army versus a 1,500 mineral army as the Banelings try to roll on in. Will they be able to melt that many Marines? A couple Marines, but not enough. But the roaches from behind were able to clean up many of those units, and now in comes another group of Marines and Marauders. Down this hatchery goes, and Morrow, or I guess this hatchery doesn't get taken down, but Morrow says GG. Look at that! Look at that one Punisher grenade that wants to make its way over here to take down this hatchery. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Mouse Morrow and Drewbie here in the Xel'naga Caverns.